Hello, comic book fans. Today we're talking about Crimstone. This is the same people behind Man Without Strings, Zaid Comics. And it gave me a few more to look at as well on the channel. And this is one of them. And I'm actually very interested because I've seen the series and characters before. And it starts out with these men, surrounded by a bonfire. And this old man is telling them a story. But I think obviously the story has some truth to it. And one thing I would like to start out with is how the story is told, right? It's not just told from a character's perspective. It's told like a legend. It's told like something, more out of versal. And it's a story behind this woman, and she's on the couch. And one thing you obviously notice about her is that she's very much in shape. And we go to the journey and the struggle of why she's that way in the first place. And it's because one of the main reasons is that she was bullied as a child. She was bullied at it as a child because of, her physical appearance, but there's something else about her. She had a friend, an imaginary friend of sorts, and she would always talk to him or talk to them, and everybody else obviously couldn't see it, but there was always something extra to this. And she told the story about how this carried her through her childhood, even overwhelming her struggle and stress, and the trauma she had endured. And I find that very cool and interesting. You don't find enough stories, with this concept. And it tells us that, she was tired of being pushed over. She was in a relationship where she made herself throw up because she was overweight. And she said, screw it. And then she went to the gym. She found the gym, and she pretty much reinvented herself and her life as a person. And, she talked about how she got new friends and how everything was looking up for her. But then one day she found out that her friend was murdered and that her friend was gone. And, that struck her very hard. But then her, this was a years in a gap between her imaginary friend and now, because then her imaginary friend came back out the blue, out of nowhere. And the one thing that I do have a question for is, at first you have this question in the book, like, is this just in her head, or is this figure Crimstone, is this an actual being? Is this like a symbiote supernatural type situation? And you start to realize that maybe it's just that when Crimstone, tells her, yeah, I was in your head and I was fighting all these years, like the time that we split up in her head mentally about everything that Crimstone went through on their side, and that they're finally reconnected. And you have to wonder, because when she was healthy and going to the gym and had friends, Crimstone was gone. But just like when she was younger, now her friend died, when something tragic happens or she's going through something, Crimstone comes back up. So again, is Crimstone just a way for her to cope? Or is this a actual supernatural being that, she either created or came through some, dimensional portal sorts? But as they were talking and pretty much reconnecting, they talked about where she goes to like this underground fighting thing every night and just watch people fight. But somehow Crimstone, encouraged her to get in the ring and fight. And here's the cool thing. When she gets in the ring and fights, it's not her you see, it's Crimstone. Crimstone completely takes over and knocks the guy out. And I find that as very awesome. You could take that as two different ways. This is how she feels, right? This is the real her, or this was the physical form of Crimstone. And it's a very interesting story on a character that you don't hear very much. And this story does like a great job. These are stories you're not getting anywhere else. This is all in the indie scene. And Zaid Comics did a hell of a job telling a story like this in a way I feel like a lot of people can read, and they can, get inspired by it, And again, overall, I read it and I was very surprised about, the overall message that I feel like the story is telling us and trying to relate through the character and the actions. And that's all I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you for watching.